Hey guys, welcome back to the NBTX Living Channel. My name's Chase Bradley.
I'm Veronica Bradley.
In our last video, we talked about some common problems with new builds. But today, we're going to take a harder look at some examples of poor craftsmanship, lack of attention to detail, and just some things that were just outright forgotten from new homes that were set to close. Some of the things that we're first going to talk about here are relatively easy fixes. Let's go ahead and take a look at them.
Okay, so this is pretty obvious. This is like a paint and texture type of fix. We consider this a cosmetic. Here's another example. Clearly, they've seen it. They just left it alone. I believe those are nail heads, right? They're nail heads that look rusted.
With this one, it really just looks like when they were installing something, they ended up punching a hole in the wall, which is not atypical, right? Like when you're moving, you're probably going to put holes in the wall too.
Yeah.
But with this one, nobody had moved in yet.
While all these are minor and cosmetic, it still needs to be taken care of because sometimes you miss things and then you move in, you're like, oh, there's a hole in my wall. And then the builders can be like, oh, well, you did the walkthrough, you didn't point that out. And so here's another one to look at. This is where tile and texture sheetrock meet and they just make a mess. You know that we're having this walkthrough. This was in the kitchen. That's the backsplash and it's just messy. So
to wrap up the easy fixes, you could tell with this one, they just forgot. They forgot to fill in these holes. They forgot to really finish it out, you know, give it that finish, that final look. You could tell, you know, maybe they were just, I don't know. It clearly, a lot of people missed it because this was a house that was set to close.
And it was during our walkthrough. So yeah. When you do the walkthrough, they really know like, okay, this is the home we're presenting to the consumer. It's clearly not ready, right? And
I know one of the common things that a lot of people will say is like, oh, well, these are like very cheap houses, like $150,000, $200,000, $250,000 homes. And this was like a $350,000, $355,000 home in a relatively decent neighborhood here in New Braunfels, Texas. So yeah, to see that on a final walkthrough, was kind of, yeah, it was kind of disappointing. You know, it was one of those things. It's like, you know, just a little bit more attention to detail. I mean, for the most part, the rest of the house was pretty good.
Yeah.
But you know, just one thing, you know, and I mean, it didn't stop them from closing on their home.
No.
You know, clearly this is something that could easily be fixed. I think even the construction manager fixed it himself. He just came in there with a little bucket of fill and some paint, and he fixed it. Okay, so on to some things that aren't as easily fixed. Let's take a look at this one.
Oh gosh, yes. This one was interesting because to me, you have to replace that whole piece of siding or whatever type of cement fiber material it is. You cannot repair that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll say, oh, we're going to repair it and put wood fill. Negative. No, do not accept that. That whole piece needed to be replaced and it was replaced.
All right, so
This one's ridiculous.
This one's is kind of silly, right? You know, you can already kind of see it in the picture, but
so this was a brand new home in San Marcos, Texas, and the inspector was like, we had to go through, I say we because him and I are looking through the Texas Real Estate Commissions on if this drip pan for this expansion tank, part of the water heater, was sufficient enough. This builder just went to Walmart, went down the baking aisle, grabbed a pan, a Wilson baking pan, and said, drilled a hole, put a PVC pipe through it, said this is going to be sufficient enough. No.
So another thing, as you can see here, we open every door
and
every window just for this same exact case. So you can see, like it looks fine. But once you start trying to open and close it, it gets stuck. It takes a little bit more than just, you know, a paint to fix that. Paint's not gonna fix that. They have to redo it, and then
you can see the
exactly, yeah. So as you can see, once it was actually closed to a point when it would lock, there was no weather stripping. So obviously you could see that with the door open too. But you know, there's just a couple of things, and you know, weather stripping is such an easy thing to put in there.
I can put it in there, yeah, but I don't want to if I'm in a new home.
I feel like they forget sometimes when they go in. With this one, there's already cracking in the mortar and in the stone. You know, a lot of the times, yeah, that's a big one for us. You know, I wouldn't buy a house that already had cracks as a brand new house, right? So I know they're gonna come to us and it's like things move, things switch, things. It's a brand new house. If it's already showing up like this, I would ask them to fix it.
That needs to be definitely. And even some of the things they'll say, and it's so funny, is like, well, bricks and stone, they're meant to crack, and you can't get every brick the same. I'm like, duh, we know that, but we're talking about the grout or the mortar in between.
All right, so with this one, you can see there's obviously a crack. This is actually somebody's driveway leading up into their sidewalk to walk into their house. It's kind of hard, right? Because the concrete that they use for flat work is different than the foundation that they have for your house. So your foundation is meant, you know, move, rock back and forth, all these different kind of things, but your flat work is not. So as soon as somebody drives a heavy truck on it or they drop something on it, it cracks. Plus it's like only ever 3 to 4 inches thick. So it's not really meant to hold up a whole bunch of weight. It's kind of unfortunate. A lot of times, this is one of the things that we get a lot of pushback on because we want them to fix it, but a lot of times there's not even warranty on flat work, so they don't fix it.
So we had one client cancel a deal because of flat work, and I was not even surprised.
So let's move on to some more egregious things. Sometimes people don't close on homes, and if you see stuff like this, I would almost recommend you not to close on it until they tell you they're gonna fix it or they fix it.
And you micromanage them fixing it. Like, it's crazy how you have to though.
Yeah. So with this one, you can see there's a huge crack, and you can't really tell. I didn't put like a penny or a nickel up, but that's like a good millimeter sized crack in the wall of a brand new home. Of a brand new home. This is not a 20-30-year-old home. This is a brand new home. And yeah, you know, really they could patch it, fill it, retexture it, paint it, but we saw it. And it wasn't like that before.
And it blows my mind because they could repair it, right? They're not, that's gonna scare them. They're gonna think like, my home is gonna have a major crack after year 1. And I don't know if I want this home.
All right, so with this one, again, a huge crack. And you could tell from this picture, like right where the garage door frame is, there's a crack where that bolt is. So what you don't see is it goes all the way down. And what you don't see is it goes all the way up. So that wood was split in 2. So every time you would use that garage door, the wheels were coming off the track because it wasn't held in there tightly enough to keep the wheels on track. So yeah, with this one, you know, they gave us pushback, and I was like, we're not closing on this house until this is fixed. You can see there's a problem with this, and if you don't want, then we're gonna walk, right? And obviously I'm not making this decision.
Of course.
I'm talking to my client at the time, and I was like, hey, this is not what you need. Like, we need this fixed, and we need this fixed, we need pictures of it fixed, and we need to see this broken wood like thrown away or moved out of the way. Because a lot of times what they'll do, even this is a secret, they'll take the pieces from a house that somebody has like X'd off or said that they don't want anymore, and they'll use it on another house.
Oh yeah.
And you know, sometimes it's just something as simple as a door, right? Like
switch a door out that has a hole, and they're like, hopefully the next person won't notice that, and we'll just get this darn door off our inventory list. One of my favorite questions to ask the construction managers, like, okay, well, would you buy this home? And they always look at you like, this chick did not just ask me that question. I'm like, I sure did ask you that question in front of the client. Fix it. All right, and our last and final one of my favorite ones to talk about. Again, same builder who's a thorn in my side. Should I tell them the builder's name? Okay, just call me and I'll tell you. So this is actually one of my dear friend. I represented her brother, childhood friend, and first time home buyer, military. And we have been pointing this darn garage header. It was not even. And you can see it on the other side of the garage, and we'll show you more pictures. By the way, this was the final walkthrough. We already did the preliminary walkthrough, and we called out a lot of things. We had the construction manager and his supervisor come to the house because I requested them. And I was like, this is unacceptable. They're not going to close. But I need in writing for my client a variance or something. You create one. I don't care what you have to do. Both parties need to sign it. It needs to be in his closing package. This will get fixed. And it did get fixed. After closing, that guy did not like me. but that's okay. They don't have to like me.
Whether it's the enduring charm of older homes or the modern conveniences of new construction, each has its own merits and challenges. Now, we know that no home is perfect, but when you purchase a new home, you want it to be as close to perfect as possible. Hiring an inspector, attending all your walkthroughs, and really paying attention to detail can help you get your new home a little closer to perfect, or at least as perfect as you want it to be. And there you have it, folks. Those are some of the worst things that we've seen in new home walkthroughs. If you learned something, maybe you're in the process of buying a new home yourself, you found some new items to look at to make sure they're on the straight and level, they're not all crooked and wonky.
Bring a level.
Bring a level. Make sure you let us know down in the comments below
Your experiences.
Exactly. Let us know your experiences too. If you just recently purchased a new home, let's hear the good and the bad and the ugly, because we know it's out there, guys.
And don't get us wrong, we love new construction homes. We see them on the daily. I try to convince him every other week to move into a new home. They're beautiful. You just need to be aware of some things to look for, because ultimately, like we said before, there is not a perfect home, but we try our hardest to get you into almost perfect. We want you to have a good experience with the builder, with the realtor, us. So we fight for you.
Yeah. So if we don't see you in the comments, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.